Hello and welcome to all of our Gold Learning listeners. I'm Fiona Langsharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Well, I'm very excited today because I'm introducing to you our International Day of the Midwife celebration with Sheena Byrom. And we will be celebrating all day on May 3rd. That's right, we're having a couple of days early so that you can join us on that day and, of course, continue your celebration all weekend with International Day of the Midwife being on the 5th. You'll be able to locate this webinar for free on our Gold Learning website at goldlearning.com. And of course, you can check it out in our emails and our social media site. We'll be everywhere just sharing some love on next week as we lead up to this wonderful day of May 3rd. Well, here today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Sheena. She's here with us once again at Gold, and of course, back by popular demand because absolutely delightful and always does a wonderful job. And I couldn't think of anyone better to share in this celebration with us here at Gold Learning. So welcome to you, Sheena. I'll give you a little round of applause. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Thank you. You make me smile when you're speaking, actually, because your voice is so enthusiastic. So you're making me smile.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And we were talking about that enthusiasm, and I did express to you like the things that I love doing here at Gold and being able to get this webinar online. And so for those that maybe can't get to a face-to-face celebration, I feel like at least we have a place for them to come, Sheena, you know, where they can feel like they're part of a community and that type of thing, because we know how busy midwives can be and sometimes they're a little bit isolated. So this is just another way that they can come and be part of the celebration and that community, right?
Absolutely. I just think it's perfect because during my time I meet so many midwives and other maternity workers who are actually just feeling like they just need to have some kind of information and some input and some inspiration.
Totally.
And so it's great that you've got Gold and that you can share everyone.
That's
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about your presentation in just a minute, but I wanted to talk about a little bit about you, Sheena, because you know that I love and adore you. And of course, I get to be a little bit part of your life because you're all over social media and I love that. And I'm there too. And even though, you know, we live in different countries currently, because you never know what might happen in life, but currently we live in different countries, but it means that we're still connected. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is just how I see you in this world and what you represent. And the first, and I pulled together these words that I just thought these really remind me of Sheena. So the first one was what I thought you represented, and that was determination in what you're doing. And that was when I first met you way back when we were talking about your first book, which we'll talk about your books in a minute. But my goodness, Sheena, you have a lot of determination. And I want to know, how did you get that and how do you hold on to it?
Oh, well, it's really nice to get that feedback, Fiona. I'm not sure really what you know how it all started. It's just sort of part of me really that I've got a passion, and my passion and commitment to mothers and babies and families is just, it's in my heart really and in my soul, and I just can't not think about it. So, and I'm determined because I know that we're not always getting things right, and that there's so much improvement to be made in maternity services. And I've lived through so many changes and so many different times that actually to be able to see it like I do, sort of like a helicopter view, and from my experience, from all the experience I've had, and I've seen some damaging things and I've seen some amazing things. So now I just feel so determined to continue because I want to get it right, because my grandchildren are very important to me, and when I see my grandchildren growing up, and I think one day they may choose to have babies, or their partners may choose to have babies, and there's certain things that I want them to experience. So my determination comes from a personal point of view, in that I'm actually being a bit selfish because I want it to be right for my children and their children and their children's children, but also for everybody that I come into contact with. And so I'm pretty determined because I feel so passionate about it. Sometimes I do get a little bit, oh, I do, like everybody else, I have vulnerable moments,
Sure.
and I also have moments where I think, oh, is it making any difference?
Right.
Am I really, all this work that I put in, is it really making any difference?
Hmm.
And then in the next moment, I think, well, even if it isn't, I'm still going to do it. So yeah, I'm very human, and I do have the same. I do have, I have huge doubts and wobbles and crying times and happy times, but I end up just bouncing back and thinking, yeah, I'm still as determined as ever. But it's really nice to hear you say that, Fiona, because
Aw.
do you know, when you like what you too, when you're working hard,
Hmm.
do you know, it's so nice to get someone to give you some lovely encouraging feedback. So that's meant a lot to me, you saying that. So
Oh,
thank you.
no, you're welcome. It's just the things that, reminded me of you. And it's such a good segue because my next word that reminds me, it strikes me as so important, is legacy. And this is what I associate you with, that you're leaving a legacy. And it really does stem from how I see you interact with your grandchildren. Because I knew you before I saw you interacting with your grandchildren. So I saw you leaving a legacy for, midwives and birth workers and, those that love the field of perinatal. Like, I already saw that side of you. But then I started seeing you with your grandchildren, and I thought, my goodness, this woman, she's passionate about leaving a legacy for her grandchildren and her children, just like you mentioned. So I love it when you share those things publicly, because I think it is very inspiring. And I know there's a little bit of feedback about, social media and how we do things. But I think that if we don't share it sometimes, we become these silos again. So I think leading up to that, watching, how you're interacting, I really understand you better now, in terms of what you're doing. So I can tell
Oh.
that you leaving a legacy is about leaving it for your family primarily, and that's beautiful. And so do your grandchildren, do they ask you about all this, crazy things that you're doing all the time, and talking about midwives and birth and all those types of things?
Yes, they do actually. The older ones do in particular, and
Right.
um, yeah, so the grown up. Well, I've got two that are 13, and
Right.
they're very interested, but they're used to it because
Yeah.
it's kind of something that we do a lot here because my daughter, as you know, Anna, she's a
Yeah, that's
midwife.
right. Yep.
She's a midwifery lecturer. She's just completed her PhD,
Wonderful.
and she's absolutely full of it as well. So we both of us together are talking about it all the time. And of course, my husband's involved, so that we because we now have all for maternity. So
Yeah.
we um we do things together as a family, and
Right.
so there's books everywhere. There's birth books everywhere in the house, and so they're picking them up all the time and looking at them. And yeah, yeah. Sometimes I think my grandchildren and my children, well, not they don't say anything, but I sometimes feel a bit guilty because, like now, for example, because we've got some of my grandchildren living with us at the moment, and they're having to be quiet in the kitchen. And
That's
for the
awesome.
first hour, so the first hour they went out with their mum, and it was raining, and then now they're all in the kitchen cooking and peeping through the window to see if I've finished. And
Oh,
and so I'm really really close to them, and they call me Shishi.
aw.
So the nine of them call me Shishi, and because they're talking to me all the time, actually my friends call it me now.
Oh, that's
So I've got so you can call it me if you like, Fiona. You can call
aw.
me Shishi.
Shishi. That's so lovely. Very
Yeah,
endearing. That's cute. It's one big,
yeah.
it's one
So
big happy family. It sounds like it is for you right now. That's
well,
very
it's not.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, we do have. It's not like. Don't think I'm putting out this image that everything is perfect because it certainly isn't. Let me tell you that we have. our moments, and
Mhm.
we argue and we fall out and we cry and we have terrible sad times. We've just had a bereavement, and
Oh,
there's
sorry.
we have divorces, and we have everything like
Right.
every family does. Do
Normal
you know
then.
what I mean?
Yeah, you're
So
normal.
well, I don't know about normal, but we're average. And so we're not like we're not, sometimes social media makes it look like everything is
I know.
perfect,
I know.
and it's not
No.
perfect,
No.
seriously. But we're happy in that we do you know the biggest thing? I hope I'm not talking too much. Am I talking too
No,
much?
you're doing great.
No, oh God, that's okay. But the biggest thing for us in our family, the motto that we have is be kind and love each other.
That's nice.
So even in the most difficult times, we just
Hmm.
try to keep remembering that. And sometimes we forget it, but we try and come back to that. So that's it, really.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
lovely. That's lovely. Well, this leads me again very prominently to the third word that I thought about you, and I think it's very humbling because you're a very humble person, and I know that with that image that sometimes is seen, and yeah, it's just like my life. There's things that happen, and it's real life and that type of thing. But what I really love about you, Sheena, is that you're always evolving. And this was my third word that I came up with, just thinking about what you're doing. And it's true, not even, and we'll talk about your books because I want to hear what's coming, but just the fact that you're willing to allow yourself to evolve and change and move with what's happening and not stay stagnant because otherwise it could be a detriment as well. So I love to think about you as the fact that you're a person that really likes to evolve and likes to change. And has that been hard for you? That's what I want to know, because sometimes it's easy to stay where we're at, but has that been hard for you, or what do you love about that aspect of evolving?
Well, yeah, I suppose it's not a conscious thing, actually, Fiona. I don't sort of, suddenly think, oh, there's a change coming up. But I do embrace change, and I think I always have, because it excites me. So if there's something that I think, I mean, I wouldn't change just for the sake of it, but if there's something that really inspires me and I think is a great idea, or a good way of doing it, then I will definitely go for it.
That's
And
awesome.
so, yeah, yeah, my grandchildren laugh at me because they say, they don't know any other granny that's has so many followers on Twitter and things, and so social media was one of the things that I have evolved into, because when
Hmm.
I was working as a midwife in the National Health Service, I didn't use social media at all. I mean, it's quite a long time ago now. It's 7 years ago, but since I left, that was one big new change. I plunged into this world, and it really taught me so much.
Mm.
So that's taken me, actually using social media has taken me into the world in a big way. So it's kind of taken me to different countries, and help me to I suppose, using your word, evolve,
Hmm.
because I used to be a clinical midwife catching babies, and then I was a manager, and then I was a researcher, and then I've gone on to actually being now a midwife for midwives,
Hmm.
and I don't catch babies anymore, but I see myself as a really keen midwife that loves and enjoys being with student midwives, with midwives, with doulas, with obstetricians, and just trying to encourage them to make services for women and families better.
Mm.
So my latest, sort of mission is to do that. And so I have moved a long way from being a clinical midwife. I suppose I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just because I enjoy it so much that I'm willing to give things a try, and I get excited about new ways of doing things and trying to engage with others. So I like
Awesome.
connecting.
Yeah.
Connection for me is a
Very
big thing.
important. Yeah.
Relationship building, and making connections. And I like being. So I saw something online just recently that talked about super connectors,
Hmm.
and so I don't ever think that and I wouldn't say, oh, I'm a such a thing, but I like the idea of being a super connector.
Yeah.
And so, like, I will put you in touch with Neil Shah, and so that kind of thing. You know, if I thought that somebody would be really good for you, I would tell you about it,
Oh,
and that I really love about that. But on the other hand, what I since I've been writing books and editing books, what's happened as well is that women contact me. So just to give you an example, 2 weeks ago I was contacted by a woman who lives in Yorkshire. I live in Lancashire, England,
hmm.
and this woman lives in Yorkshire, the next county. And she contacted me to say she'd just read my book, Hatching Babies, which now is quite an old book. And she wanted to see me because she'd had 3 cesarean sections and she'd got her records, and would I be prepared to see her? And so I'm meeting her on Monday, and then the next minute I get an email, well, not the next minute, actually, the next week, I got an email from an 82-year-old woman, an email from an 82-year-old who's called Annie, and so she said to me that she was worried about her granddaughter breastfeeding and not giving the baby any water. And she felt that her granddaughter should give her baby
Right.
water
Yeah.
because she felt that her granddaughter was thirsty. And so she'd gone on all this on the email, and she said she won't listen to me because I'm a relative. Can you please send me an email to tell her that she should be giving her baby water?
Right.
So this is the kind of thing that I'm
Oh
doing
my
as
gosh.
well. So I'm linking with grandmas, I'm linking with mothers, and so sometimes I do get a bit overwhelmed, I have to
Sure.
say.
Yeah.
I do get overwhelmed, but
I can
there you go.
yeah, no, I can imagine. And that part of that evolving and growing is what, it moves us forward, and then we have to take a break, and, then we move forward again. So, I mean, I can imagine, some of the things that, because I see these bigger projects that you're involved with. I know that you've got your books out. I know you've got your new book coming out as well. And, so tell us just a little bit about that.
Okay, so well, I've we Sue Down and I, Professor Sue Down, who would be another, she would be a great speaker for you. She's a very close colleague of mine, and of course we edited The Roar Behind the Silence together, which has been a huge success, and we go all around the world now delivering workshops on the themes of Roar, and so she edited a normal birth book, The Evidence and Debate, and
Mhm.
there were two editions of that, and she was expected to do a third edition, and she kept saying to me, "I don't really have time," and I said, why don't I join you and we do something different, and we do it on a similar theme, but the same theme actually, but have completely different chapters, and bring it up to sort of the current time. So that's what we did. So actually, though, it's been a big journey because we decided to do it 3 years ago, and both of us have been quite ill, and Sue's had a very serious bereavement, and life has taken over.
Sure.
So it has taken us 3 years to get to where we are now. But the book is really exciting.
Good.
It's called. Do you want me to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what? Yeah, so it's called Normal Birth Squaring the Circle, Researching Normal Birth in a Technological Age. And we've got 65 chapter authors from all around the world, from all different disciplines, from anthropologists to medical practitioners to architects, to biomechanics, and so they've come together to give the evidence and their perspectives on why normal birth matters.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
we're not shying away from using the term normal birth, and there's a very good reason for that,
Hmm.
because we talk about normal respiration, we talk about normal physiology, normal gait, normal bowel movement, for example, and so why would we not talk about normal physiological birth?
Perfect.
So we are very clear. There's a whole chapter on that actually,
Oh,
and
wow.
um, and so yeah, we're very excited about it. It's out in June. It's launching at the Normal Birth Conference in Grange over Sands, and it's available for pre-order now on Amazon.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm so excited to have you here. And, on May 3rd. And of course, we've heard about all that's happening. We have like 1 minute left, Sheena. So give us a less than 60-second synopsis. What are we going to hear from you on May 3rd?
You're going to hear all about why midwives are very important. And actually, not only do they save lives, but they change lives and they help families to thrive and go forth into the world.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, I can't wait to be with you on that day. And of course, Kristen will be here hosting with you. So that's going to be exciting as well. Thank you so much again for being with us here today. I hope that everyone gets a chance to ask lots of questions as well on the day. So do join us once again on May 3rd. We will be celebrating International Day of the Midwife with this free webinar. Everyone is welcome to come. You can listen to the live event. You can listen to the recorded event. It's going to be on our website at goldlearning.com. Thank you once again to Sheena Byrom for being with us here today. And of course, to all of you